This man was clearly a licensed professional hunter, yet he stayed home every day, streaming himself playing games. It all started on Kim Han-ul's graduation day. Congratulations on completing all courses of Hunter's Shield and officially becoming an E-rank hunter. All along, because his talent was lacking, he could only work harder than others, using effort to make up for his shortcomings. Precisely because of that, when it came to theoretical knowledge about dungeons and monsters, almost no one could match him. This should have been the thing he was most proud of, but in front of countless media cameras, it became the biggest joke. You've got it wrong, kid. An E-rank hunter is just someone who has obtained a hunter's license, and has absolutely no qualification to participate in a hunter's official operations. No matter how strong your theoretical knowledge is, with only E-rank combat ability, you can't even defeat a single monster. That was the reason he gave up the path of a hunter 7 years ago and switched careers to become a game streamer. But now, he was once again standing on the edge of unemployment. Thank you for your continued support of Monsters Block Monsters. After 11 p.m. this afternoon, the Monsters Block Monsters servers will be permanently shut down. Why did it have to come to this? This was the job that had finally suited him after he gave up his identity as a hunter. Monsters Block Monsters was a classic tower defense game. There were all kinds of monsters in the game. Players recruited monsters and used monsters to fight monsters, building the fiercest possible defense line. On the surface it looked ordinary, but every step had to be calculated. Monster attribute combinations, positioning, formations, and timing. And the recruited monsters could also be enhanced and upgraded, except the success rate was absurdly low. Worse still, no matter how strong you raised them, once they died, they would never revive again. That was the so-called turn-based tower defense system, and the game's balance was atrocious to the extreme. Things like a 3-star ogre getting counterkilled by a 1-star goblin happened all the time. In his eyes, the developers of this game were obviously not normal. And yet it was precisely this ridiculous difficulty setting that allowed him to make money through streaming. Now they were suddenly telling him the game was shutting down, and for a moment he truly had no idea how he was supposed to live going forward. The fans in his stream were still urging him, go all out on the last day, then go back to being a hunter. Hearing that, Kim Han-ul really wanted to laugh and sigh at the same time. Of course he also wanted to be a real hunter. But the problem was, as nothing more than an E-rank, he couldn't even enter the gate of a dungeon. Forget it, no point thinking about it. Anyway, it's the last day, so let me challenge the highest difficulty dungeon in this game. There was a hell-level dungeon called Tide, where players had to defend the castle and withstand the frenzy of monsters pouring in through the gate, and they had to survive a full 700 waves of attacks. From the game's launch until now, no one had ever cleared it, and no one had even seen wave 700. And now, this was his last chance. With his mouse clicking frantically, he finally welcomed the 700th wave of the Beast Tide. From the portal, countless monsters came gushing out at once. Are you kidding me? This many right from the start? He immediately controlled the archer to wear them down from long range. But unexpectedly, that arrow should have cut through with unstoppable force. Yet after falling into the crowd of monsters, it did not even stir the slightest ripple. Faced with a beast tide of this scale, the goblin archer was swallowed up in an instant. System notification. The level 100 goblin archer has died. Damn it, I raised that archer for a long time. But the monsters didn't care in the slightest and continued advancing toward the castle. Fortunately, he still had his trump card in reserve. With just a single strike, it severed several monsters' heads on the spot. The Queen's Handmaiden, level 130. From here on, leave it to me. But what no one expected was, mixed into the beast tide was a hellhound. In a one-on-one fight, there might still have been a chance to win. But in a beast tide of this size, with the hellhound's savage bites added in, the Queen's Handmaiden still ended up falling. Damn it, so this is wave 700? No matter how many subordinates he sent out, the ending was the same as if it had already been written. Under the impact of the beast tide, they fell one after another. Looks like, I lost again this time. He no longer had any monster left that could stop this wave. All that remained was an empty castle. Just when he thought everything was over, a blinding light suddenly burst out from the center of the castle. Beneath that radiance was the sovereign who had always been asleep on the throne. First time challenging wave 700, the sovereign awakens from slumber for you. In the next second, the guard beside her presented the sovereign's sword. Immediately after, a terrifying sense of oppression exploded out from her body. Kim Han-ul was stunned on the spot. Wasn't the sovereign just decoration? I've never heard that she could wake up from the throne. And I've never heard that she would take up a weapon and personally enter the battle. What exactly is going on? He watched as the sovereign raised her hand for a single blow and wiped out all the monsters rushing up. Afterward, she leaped high toward the beast horde in the rear. Kim Han-ul could hardly believe his own eyes. Not only had the sovereign truly charged into the beast tide, she was absurdly powerful. Every swing carried destructive force, and the surrounding monsters were cut down by her like grass. Combat power with both speed and strength maxed out. Before her, those monsters were as fragile as paper. Within the flashing blade light, they were chopped into countless pieces. As the final ultimate move came down, the last monster was also easily finished off by her. In the entire hall, aside from corpses, only the Sovereign remained standing there, calm as if nothing had happened. Congratulations, player. You have successfully cleared wave 700. He stared at the screen, eyes unfocused. Everyone, did you see that? I thought the Sovereign was just decoration, but she turned out to be the strongest companion. But right then, he suddenly realized the stream had cut out, and the mouse would not move at all. The only thing he saw was a comment from someone named Viewer1. Thank you to the player named What Kind of Trash Game Is This? Thanks to you, the Sovereign has awakened from her long slumber and can now finally begin a new journey with you. He was completely baffled. Had this Viewer1 gotten too immersed watching the stream? In the next second, another message popped up, and its content even synchronized with the game screen. We hope the viewers will continue supporting us in the future. As Viewer1 exited the stream, the broadcast returned to normal. Although he had no idea what had just happened, this was, after all, the last time he would ever play this game. But at that very moment, he saw something even more outrageous with his own eyes. Something like a game portal suddenly appeared in his room. Just as he was about to panic, thinking a monster was about to come charging out, that thing instantly turned into a system panel. Monsters Block Monsters has completed synchronization. A new skill has been learned. Please choose, speak with the Sovereign, or trade with the Sovereign. Is this really my new skill? Did I undergo a second awakening? In that moment, a blazing conviction rose in Kim Hanal's heart. After he had been judged unable to participate in Hunter Operation 7 years ago, he had specifically consulted experts. There were indeed a small number of hunters who only awakened their skills at a later stage. Although extremely rare, once it happened, their rank would also rise with it. This was the miracle known as Second Awakening. I don't know why this is happening, but since fate has given me another chance, I'm definitely going to seize it. Sorry, everyone, but today will be my last stream. Because I'm going back to become a full-time hunter again. Name, Kim Hanal. Strength 10, Agility 6, Stamina 13, Spirit 5. Skills, Level 1 Regeneration, Contracted God, none. Seeing these base attributes, he was speechless. He had undergone a second awakening. So why hadn't the numbers changed at all? Just then, a new window popped up. Would you like to view information on your new skill? New skill? Whether my base stats changed or not, as long as you give me a high-tier skill, I can turn this world upside down. Thinking that, he directly clicked to inspect it. New skills, speak with the Sovereign, trade with the Sovereign. The moment he saw the skill names, he froze on the spot. What exactly did this mean? Filled with doubt, he clicked trade. But a notice popped up, insufficient gold. Unable to activate the skill. What the hell? Skills cost gold too? How am I supposed to use this? It's not like I can just go ask someone, right? But in the next second, someone suddenly came to mind. Viewer1, who had left him a message after he cleared the stage. Maybe that person could explain everything. He immediately reopened the stream. Unexpectedly, Viewer1 seemed to have been waiting for him all along and instantly entered the stream. Good morning, Mr. What kind of trash game is this? So, you're still here. He directly cut off the stream and started a private chat with Viewer1. The second awakening had happened precisely after Viewer1 appeared, which meant this matter was very likely related to the other party. He stopped beating around the bush and got straight to the point. This may sound ridiculous, but I suddenly underwent a second awakening yesterday. Viewer1, do you know what a second awakening is? The other party answered with unusual decisiveness, yes. That was essentially an admission that the changes in his body really were related to the other party. He knew that awakening was a domain beyond human control. In other words, the other party was very likely connected to a god. Was it that person who had given him another chance? But why choose him of all people? At this moment, Kim Hanal's head was full of questions, and he once again pressed Viewer1 through the computer. Why do this? No matter how I think about it, I can't see what benefit this brings you. At the very instant he asked that question, his vision suddenly went black. He was actually dragged into another space, where an invisible giant hand slowly lifted him up, and then an ethereal voice sounded out. Because the Sovereign chose you, and because of you, the Sovereign was able to awaken. Hearing this only made him more confused. What had he done that could possibly awaken the Sovereign? What the other party was talking about? Could it be the Sovereign from Monsters Block Monsters? That meant everything really was connected to the game. In the next second, he was thrown back into his own room. Things may be a little confusing right now, but you will gradually understand in the future. Mr. Hanal, you may regard the skill you obtained as a blessing from God. That's not important right now. Can you first tell me how this skill is supposed to be used? As for the activation conditions, speaking with the Sovereign requires time to master. What about the other one? Then, why can't I activate it either? It even says I don't have enough gold. To his surprise, even the mysterious Viewer1 replied with a question mark. Then the other party took out an ancient book from the void, as though searching through it for an answer. It seems, an error has occurred. An error? What do you mean? Don't worry, I'll correct it right now and first issue you an initial reward of 50 gold. As long as you have gold, you can activate that skill. As for the details, you'll naturally understand after activating it. Well then, I look forward to working with you from now on. After saying that, viewer 1 directly left the stream. Kim Han-ul stood there, feeling as though he were dreaming. So that means that person really is connected to my second awakening, and the sovereign they spoke of is a god? Just as he was still thinking, the initial reward arrived. You have received a beginner gift pack of 50 gold. Your current gold now meets the requirements. The skill trade with the sovereign has been activated. In the next second, a monster list unfolded before his eyes, with each monster followed by its name and gold price. His whole body stiffened. This interface was almost exactly the same as the recruitment shop in Monsters Block Monsters. And even the monster types were mostly the same. In the game, players could summon recruited monsters into the castle to use as soldiers. Could it be that in reality, he could summon them too? If that were true, then he would no longer have to worry about lacking combat power. It felt as though he had changed class into a summoner, and the kind that summoned by spending money. He currently had 50 gold, just enough to recruit the cheapest goblin slave. But just then, he saw an option so outrageous it felt unreal. Dream Sovereign, recruitment cost, 9,999,999,999 gold, required favorability, 100. Wasn't this the very sovereign from the game who could clear the field with a single strike? Of course he wanted her, but seeing that price and favorability requirement, he could only give up that unrealistic thought on the spot. At present, there was only one problem. How was he supposed to earn gold? In Monsters Block Monsters, there were only two sources of gold. One was completing dungeon missions for rewards, and the other was hunting monsters and selling the spoils for gold. If reality worked the same way, then if he wanted to make money, he had to kill real monsters. But the problem was, with his current strength, he could not even defeat the weakest monster, which meant the goblin slave was his only breakthrough. Thinking of this, he immediately clicked recruit. Goblin slave successfully hired. Summon monsters may be resummoned without additional gold. Now summoning goblin slave for you. In an instant, the room was completely enveloped by a terrifying force. He stared fixedly at everything happening before his eyes, barely daring to breathe. He was only summoning the lowest level monster, yet it erupted with pressure of this magnitude. So, this is my first summoned beast? The scene shifted as Kim Han-ul walked into the Hunter Association building. Hunter Kim Han-ul, let me confirm one more time. You are an E-rank hunter, and you intend to operate alone, correct? Given your qualifications, there are currently only 4 commissions suitable for you. He only glanced at them once before directly choosing one. If something goes wrong in that area, we won't be able to dispatch support immediately. Have you really thought this through? Yes, I'm sure, absolutely sure. Register it for me. After simply completing the registration and verification, he walked out of the Hunter Association building with barely restrained anticipation. Commission details: exterminate the goblins occupying the mountain behind the village. Rank, E-rank. Client, village chief. Before long, he arrived at the location the client had mentioned. A villager hurriedly ran out from the rice fields. Welcome, Mr. Hunter. Thank you so much for coming all the way to such a remote little village. Our commission has been posted for a long time, and you're the only one willing to help. Because of those monsters, we haven't dared go to the mountain to gather wild herbs for a whole week. No wonder no one had accepted it. The place was far away and paid little, so who would come all the way out here for just a few goblins? Mr. Hunter, are you really sure you'll be fine alone? Those goblins aren't that easy to deal with. I'm afraid you'll get hurt by yourself. Don't worry, village chief. I promise you, I'll wipe those monsters out completely. After parting with the village chief, Kim Han-ul headed toward the forest where the goblins had been appearing. According to the information, they should be somewhere nearby. Just then, he heard a strange sound. When he turned his head, even he could hardly believe what he was seeing. 3 goblins were leisurely drinking mountain spring water as if they owned the place. This was completely different from what he had read in books. Though it's a bit unexpected, it's not a big problem. I just need to summon my subordinate. Thinking that, he directly took a blue pokeball-like sphere out of the system space. This time, I'm leaving it to you. Come out, goblin slave. He raised his hand and threw it, sending the sphere flying toward the monsters. But in the next second, it flopped weakly onto the ground at their feet. What? The 3 goblins stared at the glowing sphere on the ground in confusion. And then they noticed Kim Han-ul in the distance. Damn it, did I use the summoning method wrong? This trash system doesn't even come with instructions. So I thought all I had to do was throw it out. I'm screwed. There's no way I can run now. Looks like I'll have to do this myself. But can I really beat them? Forget it. I'm fighting you with everything I've got. At that moment, the goblins had already pounced in front of him. Just as their claws were about to pierce him, goblin slave summoned successfully. In the next second, the charging goblin was blasted away by a single club strike. When Kim Han-ul first played Monsters Block Monsters, the very first monster he recruited had also been a goblin slave. Because it was his first one, he treasured it especially and equipped it with all his rare gear. So with it alone, he had been able to steadily clear up to wave 100. And now, he had it once again. Gono's inventory: Wind Helmet A rank, Raven Leather Armor A rank, Raven Cloak A rank, Raven Leather Boots A rank, Hercules' Club A rank. With just one blow, Gono instantly killed 2 wild goblins on the spot. When the last one saw this, it turned and ran in terror. But there was no way Gono was going to let it escape. Skill: Raven Wing Beat activated. In the next moment, it was as if a pair of invisible wings had sprouted beneath Gono's feet, and he instantly dove forward in pursuit, catching up to the goblin, which had already fled far away, within just a few breaths. The moment their eyes met, the wild goblin was smashed apart on the spot by a single club strike. Just like that, Gono wiped out all the goblins. Watching this bloody scene, Kim Hano was completely stunned. Gono was actually this strong. A faint smile even appeared at the corner of Gono's mouth. He slowly walked toward him. Gono, great job, as expected of the first goblin I ever recruited. But when Gono reached him, he raised a hand as if signaling something. What do you mean? Don't tell me, you want me to give you a hug? Looking at those eyes that clearly longed for recognition, Kim Hanal immediately realized he had guessed right. Gono's favorability, 20%. There's even a favorability system? This isn't a dating game, so what do I need favorability for? At that moment, the system message popped up again. When favorability reaches its maximum value, you will obtain a new skill. The instant he saw the words new skill, his eyes lit up. If we're talking about whose kid is the strongest, then of course it's my Gono. You're amazing. System notice: Gono's favorability increased by 10 points. But even though he had killed the wild goblins, no items had dropped at all. Could it be that the way to obtain gold was different in reality? Just as he was wondering, Gono seemed to mutter something beside him, then pulled several stones out of each goblin corpse, and handed 3 blue stones to him. But Kim Hanol had no idea what they were. Following the direction Gono pointed, he was shocked to discover that the portal from the game had appeared again. Holding those stones in hand, Gono directly threw them into the portal, sold 3 lowest grade mana stones, obtained 30 gold. So that was it. Unlike in the game, real-world monsters dropped mana stones, and gold was obtained by selling the mana stones. Kim Hanal immediately reached out and patted Gono as praise, and Gono's favorability increased by 5 points. Good, now as long as he collected a few more mission-proof items, he could go back and report completion. But right at that moment, a thunderous beastly roar came from deep within the forest. Immediately afterward, the ground began to shake violently. What's going on? Could there be other goblins too? They stared into the depths of the forest, only to see the trees in front of them being knocked down one after another. Damn it, that definitely can't be a goblin. Something stronger is coming. In the next second, Kim Hanal was stunned by what he saw. A monster as huge as a mountain blocked out the sky as it slowly approached. It's over. Why is there a troll here? Doesn't this thing only appear in B-rank missions and above? Then he noticed something else. This troll was obviously not in normal condition. Its body was covered in wounds, and its face even bore a tearing injury that went straight for a vital point. It looked as though it had fled here from another battlefield. But even so, the pressure it gave off was not something he could handle. Even worse, there were only 3 minutes left before Gono would be forcibly sent back to the Sovereign's castle. Should I run immediately while there's still time? Or, while he was still hesitating, Gono had already started walking toward the troll. Unexpectedly, even when facing this kind of monster, Gono still looked utterly confident, as if he didn't regard it as a threat at all. Alright, then I'll trust you this once. Gono. Fight it to the end. Skill: Raven Wing Beat activated. In the next second, Gono exploded forward and charged straight at the troll. The troll, seeing that this tiny creature dared provoke it, flew into an instant rage. It swung the tree trunk in its hand, and smashed it viciously toward Gono. But in the split second before impact, Gono sharply changed direction and leaped high into the air, directly reaching the top of the troll's head. He raised Hercules' club and came crashing down toward it. At the instant, power gathered throughout his whole body. That club struck heavily against the troll's arm. The troll thought it had endured the hit, but in the next second, its bones began breaking one after another from the inside out. Its arm bones shattered, and finally its entire body exploded and collapsed apart. The terrifying shockwave nearly knocked over even Kim Hanal, who was standing nearby. Just like that, the troll that had been radiating overwhelming pressure moments ago was killed by Gono in a single strike. Kim Hanal's scalp tingled as he watched, and he immediately rushed forward to confirm the situation. Gono, you're incredible. Next came the time to collect the gold. But just as Gono was about to hand him the mana stone from the troll's body, the countdown ended, and he was forcibly teleported back to the castle. There were still 24 hours remaining on Gono's summoning cooldown. Kim Hanal clenched the mana stone in his hand, and the trade portal opened once again. He directly threw the mana stone into it, sold 1 medium-strength mana stone, obtained 100 gold, current gold, 130. First sale of a mana stone containing a troll soul. Additional reward issued. Reward: 1 high-grade treasure chest. In Monsters Block Monsters, high-grade treasure chests were practically the only way to obtain rare items, but their drop rate was maddeningly low. As the reward was triggered, a golden treasure chest fell from the sky and landed in front of him. But as he looked at the chest, Kim Hanal was not nearly as excited as expected. Because in the game, even if you got god-tier equipment, it could only be used by monsters. As if the system had heard his thoughts, a new window immediately popped up. Items obtained through high-grade treasure chests may be equipped and used by the player. So that means, if I pull a divine tier item, I can be ridiculously strong like Gono too. Just as he was thinking that, 4 hunters rushed out from the forest. Quick, everyone, keep up, follow the troll's tracks, it's just ahead. But in the very next second, they all froze in place. The troll they had been hunting was already lying dead on the ground, and a young man was standing beside it. Kim Hanal immediately recognized the woman among them as well, Yoon Sua, captain of Pungbek Guild's second team. Rank, A rank. Damn it, so they really were chasing the troll. I need to leave right now. But just as he turned to withdraw, they directly surrounded him. Tell me, this troll, did you kill it? Yoon Sua could hardly believe it. The monster they had exhausted themselves just to heavily wound had actually been finished off by this unremarkable-looking boy standing before them. Back then, even 3 B-rank hunters attacking together had been unable to kill it. Even injured, this troll still possessed B-rank strength, which meant the person before her had at least A-rank combat power. Thinking of that, Yoon Sua extended her hand, her tone restrained but probing. Hello, I'm Yoon Sua from Pungbek Guild. At the moment their hands touched, a voice rang out in Yoon Sua's mind. A great archangel of the heavens has shown strong interest in the person before you. Yoon Sua's pupils contracted. A constellation was interested in this guy? But he looked completely ordinary. Suppressing her shock, she spoke to test him. Actually, this troll was originally our target. We were worried it might cause harm to this area, so luckily you dealt with it in time. I just got lucky. When it rushed in front of me, it only had 1 breath left. He's lying, so he really is hiding something. In that case, there's only one way. I'll give you the entire reward for killing the troll. Kim Hanal froze on the spot. What was this woman talking about? He had basically stolen his prey from their guild. But what she said next shocked him even more. In exchange, I'd like to ask you something. She even took out her phone a little awkwardly. Can I have your contact information? The scene shifted, and Kim Hanal returned to the village with the mission completed. Thank you for helping us eliminate this hidden danger. You're welcome. Actually, I wanted to ask you something. Where's that famous training monument? You must really have done your homework before coming. Just follow this road straight and you'll see it. That place is famous for bringing good luck. If you need a little luck, it might be able to help. He didn't really believe in such things, but this time the situation was too unusual. If it could be tried, then he might as well try it. At the very least, there was no harm. Just then, Hunter Yoon Sua sent him a message. Mr. Kim Hanal, this is Yoon Sua from Pungbek Guild. As mentioned before, we will handle the troll's corpse. Please contact me when you come to the guild. But his attention right now was entirely on that treasure chest. No matter how low the odds were, at least give him an A rank. Opening the golden treasure chest for you. The instant the chest opened, a beam of golden light shot into the sky. This kind of treasure chest could produce equipment of various ranks, with the highest being S rank. S rank items usually emitted pure golden light. And now, that golden light was exploding right in front of his eyes. But in the next second, a large amount of red light mixed into the gold. What kind of rank of item could this possibly be? The scene shifted, and Kim Hanal returned home. This commission had brought him huge gains, and his gold had increased by a large amount. But in the recruitment window, there were still a great many monsters marked unable to recruit. Why exactly was that? At present, the only monsters he could hire were Goblin Warrior and Troll Warrior. Don't tell me, the system only unlocks recruitment for monsters I've personally defeated. If that's true, then getting stronger monsters is going to be a huge hassle. And then there's that item I pulled. Demon Glasses, rank, unique, type, accessory, description. Glasses crafted by an eye demon sage who suffered from both astigmatism and nearsightedness. For any eye demon, they are the ultimate gift. Attributes, all stats +5. Skill, Sage's Eye usable twice per day. This was practically a top-tier item no one had ever seen before. According to the game's lore, its value even far exceeded A-rank equipment. Only one question remained. What exactly could it do in reality? Thinking this, Kim Hanal directly put on the glasses. In the next second, a massive amount of magic power flowed into his eyes, and all his attributes instantly increased by 5. Sage's Eye allows the user to view a target's attributes and skills. Can be used twice per day. Uses are not consumed when used on targets of C rank or below. When he saw the effect, his breathing grew heavier. This was far too powerful. With Sage's Eye, he would be able to see straight through an enemy's hidden cards in battle. At the same time, however, one thing deeply unsettled him. Why him, of all people? There was no such thing as power gain for free in this world. What would the price be for obtaining all this? Warning, the tide is about to begin. Player, please prepare your defenses. Watching the warning windows continuously pop up, Kim Han-al froze completely. This was actually the interface from Monsters Block Monsters. Wave 701 of the monster tide will begin in 10 minutes. Player, please prepare. Wave 701? What exactly was that supposed to mean? Wave 700 had already been terrifying enough. Wave 701, what kind of hell would that be? If the player fails to repel the monster invasion, you will lose all your power. In addition, this world will also be destroyed by monsters. The moment the system interface appeared, Kim Han-al's mind went blank. So, he was supposed to stop these monsters right now? But why was it being done in the form of playing a game? Even worse, if he failed, would the world really be destroyed because of him? This was too absurd. System prompt. The Great Wave will arrive in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Please prepare to face this invasion. Fine, there's no time. I'll prepare for battle first. On the surface, Monsters Block Monsters was very simple. Tower defense, just protect the castle. But its difficulty was completely unreasonable. To hold the line, every step had to be calculated in advance. Monster positioning, castle defensive structures, along with the timing and combinations of various items. Linking all those elements together and preparing strategies in advance for every possible situation. That was the core of the game. After a brief period of familiarization, Kim Han-al quickly adapted to the new interface. Simply put, it had changed from mouse and keyboard controls to touchscreen controls. He spent all the gold he had saved from selling mana stones and recruited a total of 4 monsters. Including the original one, there were now 5 deployable monsters in the castle. 3 goblin warriors, 1 goblin slave, and 1 troll warrior. Seeing this line of information, Kim Han-al paused in surprise. Aside from the goblin slave from the beginner gift pack, the other 4 were all monsters he had personally defeated. But the numbers were still not enough, so he planned to recruit another wave while he still could. System prompt. After receiving a tide alert, you cannot recruit new monsters for a short time. Damn it, is this system trying to force me to die? Displaying detailed information for Wave 701 of the tide, Count Gueler and his elite unit, the Dragonspawn Legion. Composed of 6-star Count Gueler, 45-star Wyverns, and 25-star Drakes. So-called star rating was the measure of combat power. It represented a monster's most fundamental combat potential. If the gap was too great, it wasn't a battle, it was a massacre. And right now, all he had were 4 3-star goblins and 1 3-star troll. Under normal circumstances, the outcome was already set in stone. Not enough troops, not enough resources. He couldn't even assemble a decent strategy. Just as he felt like he was about to suffocate. Special benefit. As the only player, you will receive a special reward. In this wave, you may choose 1 defensive structure and 1 item. The selected item will be assigned for use by all troops. Equipable gear is limited to 1 item per body slot. But he did not feel relieved. You think this tiny reward is enough to stop Wave 701? This is completely insane. But since I have no choice, then I'll show you just how ruthless a veteran player can be. He had played this game longer than anyone else. Other people would panic helplessly in a situation like this. But he knew, times like this were when a comeback was most possible. 54 seconds until the tide begins. With just this much manpower, plus 2 things. 15 seconds until the tide begins. I can still hold it. 1 second until the tide begins. At this moment, Kim Han-al had already finished his setup. The tide officially begins. In the next second, swarms of wyverns burst onto the screen, all diving toward the castle. Standing atop one of the wyverns was the boss of this wave, Count Gueler. The wyvern at the very front reached the castle first, only to be forcibly blocked by an invisible wall. The monsters could not get any closer. Count Gueler grew impatient at the sight, and directly ordered the wyverns to concentrate their firepower on the barrier. As expected, the strategy worked. Infinite barrier, used to defend against incoming monster tides. No matter how strong the attack, each hit only reduces durability by 1 point. Current durability, 1100. Infinite barrier, an extremely fragile defensive line, usable only when the average star rating of allied monsters is below 2 stars. This was the defensive structure players mocked as for beginners only. Flames gathered in the wyverns' mouths, and a blazing fireball slammed into the barrier. More than a dozen wyverns opened fire at the same time, and the flames instantly engulfed the barrier. But every instance of damage only deducted 1 durability. Now the real problem was the number of enemies. The barrier only had 100 durability, so if 61 monsters attacked at once, its durability would instantly be cut to less than half. But Kim Han-al had already calculated this. He had only one solution: click like mad. This barrier had a mechanic: each click restored 1 point of durability. As long as the hand speed he had built over more than 20 years was fast enough, they would never be able to break through. With the defense stabilized, the next step was counterattack. A golden beam shot out from inside the castle, accurately striking a wyvern on the head. The wyvern took 1 point of damage. Under normal circumstances, goblins could not hurt wyverns at all. But one piece of equipment could make that rule fail. Hawken Spoon, Rank A, equipment slot, both hands. After equipping it, monsters can deal ranged damage regardless of star rating. With it, he could ignore the star rating gap and make even wyverns lose HP, though the damage was fixed at only 1 point. By his estimate, if he wanted to clear this wave using this method, he would need to hold out for at least 60 hours. So this was no longer a battle of strategy, it was a battle of endurance. Who would break first? Him, or these wyverns getting beaten to death by spoons? Faced with this situation, even Count Gular, as the boss, could only issue furious orders for his troops to keep bombing the barrier with all their might. As time passed second by second, Kim Han-al came to realize that frantic clicking was far more torturous than he had imagined. He wanted to drink some water first to recover his strength, but the moment he raised his hand, his body completely refused to move. System prompt: during gameplay, the player's other actions will be restricted. Seeing that prompt, Kim Han-al's eyes darkened, even his body was being forcibly controlled. Damn it, one day, I'm going to crush this trash system under my feet. He could only keep clicking without any resupply whatsoever. But if this continued, could he really last the full 60 hours? An ordinary person would have despaired long ago. But for Kim Han-al, this was only the beginning. On one side were the monster's unending bombardments, dragging the barrier's durability down. On the other side was him forcibly pulling that durability back up with sheer hand speed. This suffocating sense of pressure and tug-of-war was exactly why he had been obsessed with this game. In the blink of an eye, more than 2 hours passed. This game I both love and hate. Let them see who the one left standing at the end really is. But as time kept passing, he endured this repetitive operation for a full 12 hours. And yet if he wanted to win, he would probably have to endure another 48. Gradually, one wyvern after another fell before his eyes. Seeing that, Kim Han-al finally let out a breath of relief. At least it proved the strategy worked. From here on, only willpower remained. Remaining monsters, 50. Remaining monsters, 30. Remaining monsters, 16. Remaining monsters, 2. At this point, only the boss, Count Gular, and the wyvern beneath him were left. As his subordinates fell one by one before his eyes, Count Gular's rage had already reached its limit. But at precisely that moment, Kim Han-al was so sleepy that he lost consciousness and fell asleep on the spot. Warning: barrier durability has dropped to only 2 points. Inside the castle, the goblin raised its arm and hurled the spoon with all its strength at the final wyvern. But under Count Gular's control, the wyvern easily dodged it, then opened its mouth and charged flames, spitting out 2 fireballs in one breath, which smashed hard against the barrier. Current barrier durability is 0. Barrier is being removed. This is bad. It's all because I let my guard down just now. If I don't think of something, the castle is going to be destroyed. At that critical instant, Gono raised Hercules' club and burst forward. He charged straight toward the enemy in the sky. No matter how high the enemy's star rating was, it was already at the end of its strength. With Gono's full set of luxurious equipment, it was not impossible for him to win in a clash. At the moment Gono collided with the enemy, Count Gular and the wyvern beneath him were blown apart by a single strike of the club, and the final 2 enemies were both reduced to hero at once. Gono's strength had surpassed even Kim Han-al's expectations. Congratulations, you have successfully cleared Wave 701 of the Tide. Kim Han-al stared at the screen, feeling as though he had been struck by lightning. He had really defended it? He had really won. As his emotions surged up, he collapsed to the ground from sheer exhaustion in the next second. He had no idea how long he had been unconscious, before he slowly regained awareness bit by bit. The moment his vision focused, it was locked onto the system settlement window right in front of him. Wave 701 settlement rewards. You defeated Count Gular and his Dragonspawn elite troops. The Count never could have imagined that he and his elite force would be beaten to death by a spoon. Obtained 20 dragon bones, 10 drake scales, 5 drake hearts. Seeing those rewards, his brows drew tighter and tighter. How were these materials supposed to be used? At that moment, the system prompted, repelling the monster tide has been completed. Gameplay duration exceeded 50 hours. Completed. You must still complete 3 more conditions to unlock the skill Speak with the Sovereign. He did not know what the other 3 conditions were, but he was now one step closer to Speak with the Sovereign. At the exact moment he checked the final reward, the system interface suddenly exploded with blinding light. When Kim Han-al saw the content of the final reward, he was completely stunned, and the phone he had left on his computer desk had somehow accumulated 7 missed calls. The scene shifted to the Hunter Association building. At that moment, 2 hunters were waiting for someone in the lobby. Yoon Soo-hyuk, the S-rank vice-guild leader of Pungbek Guild, said, "How could an Iranian hunter possibly kill a troll? That guy is definitely a fraud." "Not necessarily. I heard that guy seems to have undergone a second awakening recently." "You believe that kind of nonsense too?" "Second awakening is extremely rare. Just then, Kim Hanul came running in from outside with an excited expression. "Sorry to keep you waiting. I had some personal matters these past few days, so I couldn't answer the phone. You left my sister hanging for 3 whole days and think one apology settles it? Brother, didn't I already tell you? Kim Hanul, you don't need to mind my brother. Just like I said before, we'll give you the reward for killing the troll. But before that, you need to come with me for registration." Unexpectedly, however, the registration staff refused to believe it. How could an E-rank hunter possibly kill a troll alone? So they were going to test Kim Hanul's attributes to confirm whether he really had the ability to hunt. The scene shifted, and everyone arrived before a huge crystal. Since his second awakening, Kim Hanul had never undergone a formal test. So this was the perfect chance to confirm his current rank. This enormous red crystal was actually a magic power measuring device. The moment Kim Hanul placed his palm on it, a dazzling light burst out from inside the crystal. Measurement complete. Analysis result, Kim Hanul's magic power rank, S rank. Everyone present was stunned. Even Kim Hanul himself had never expected to reach this point. All because he had held back wave 701 of the tide. The reward the system gave him was actually a new skill. King's Afterimage. Gain the attribute bonuses of the strongest monster from the previous wave. Usable for 30 minutes per day. Once the time is exhausted, it cannot be used again until the next day. And the strongest monster in wave 701 had been 6-star Count Gular. When the rank test was conducted, Kim Hanul secretly activated King's Afterimage. In the next second, his stats surged explosively. Remaining time, 24 minutes 49 seconds. With this skill, he was no longer the useless person he had once been, even without recruiting monsters. He could possess S-rank combat power. Although it only lasted 30 minutes a day, to those who did not know the truth, he was a genuine S-rank hunter. The moment Kim Hanul's result came out, the expressions in Yoon Soo-hyuk and his sister's eyes changed. That also explained it. That troll really had been killed by him alone. "We will send you the official reassessment result by text message before tomorrow." Yoon Soo-hyuk suddenly extended an olive branch to Kim Hanul, inviting him to join Pongbek Guild. But for the time being, Kim Hanul did not want to align himself with any organization. "I'll think about it after I get back." With that, he turned and left. And as soon as the news that he was suspected to be S-rank got out, it exploded online. He had never imagined that one day he would become famous, and even the Hunter Association sent him a message. Based on today's magic power measurement results, Kim Hanul's hunter license has been promoted from E rank to B rank. From today onward, you are permitted to participate in all gates and dungeons of S rank and below. Kim Hanul had originally thought he would be promoted directly to S rank, but the association's rules allowed a maximum promotion of only 3 ranks at a time. He opened his livestream chat interface again, and netizens instantly flooded in with comments, all focused on the S-rank hunter who had appeared today. "I heard Yoon Soo-hyuk personally invited him to join the guild and got rejected. Everyone, since we're talking about hunters, he actually wants to ask a question today. Now that I've become a hunter again, which dungeon should I start with for my first one?" You're not thinking of streaming inside a dungeon, are you? That's not allowed. Right, the Hunter Association has confidentiality agreements. Streaming or recording is illegal and violates the Hunter Protection Act. Don't worry, after I clear it, I'll only post proof of the clear, and as long as it doesn't violate the rules, I'll also share whatever parts I'm allowed to talk about. At that, the netizens became excited immediately. Guilds had always kept dungeon information tightly sealed, so this kind of content was extremely rare. A user named Monster Blocking Hunter suggested, "If you're choosing a dungeon, then it has to be Mad Dragon's Nest." But in the next second, a system prompt popped up. Trash Game Bros Obsessive Fan donated 50,001. Don't listen to the guy above. If you ask me, you should go to Giant's Kitchen. Bald is Strong donated 1,000,001. Bald is Strong suggested, go to Spider Forest and rip off one of the queen's legs. The effect would definitely be explosive. Several people immediately started arguing over their respective suggestions. Seeing this, Kim Hanul quickly told everyone to calm down. But just then, Viewer 1 donated 10,000,001. Seeing that number, Kim Hanul froze on the spot. Who is that? Which big shot just arrived? Viewer 1 entered the stream and the Idaho instantly dominated the entire chat. So since you donated that much, are you trying to recommend which dungeon he should go to? Then Viewer 1 slowly spoke. The deepest part of the Garden of Meditation. The others immediately could not sit still. That place had never been successfully conquered to this day. The Garden of Meditation dungeon was divided into 3 zones: the entrance, the lake, and the deepest part. The area near the entrance was relatively safe and counted as a standard hunting zone. But the central lake was already extremely dangerous, let alone the deepest part, which no one had ever cleared. As far as he knew, the first person to clear the central lake had been Yoon Soo-hyuk of Pongbek Guild. According to an interview, even Yoon Soo-hyuk himself had admitted that the central area was his limit. And now you're telling me to go to the deepest part? That's impossible. At this point, Viewer 1 spoke again. Actually, you do not need to clear the dungeon. As long as you reach the deepest part of the Garden of Meditation, the mission will be considered complete, and I will provide all the assistance you need. The other medicines immediately objected. That'll get you killed. Dreamer, don't fall for it. This mission is extremely risky. If all I have to do is reach the deepest part and then withdraw immediately, I might be able to do it. Besides, there's also Viewer One's help. After careful consideration, he set his first target, the Garden of Meditation. The scene shifted, and Kim Han-ul went to the Hunter Association to register, where he smoothly secured a slot to enter the Garden of Meditation the next day. But just as he was about to leave, two unfamiliar men and women called out to him. The news that Kim Han-ul had tested at S-rank magic power was too eye-catching, instantly drawing the attention of all the major guilds. And even Sanare Guild and Aegis Guild had personally come to invite him to join. Sanare Guild and Aegis Guild were both among Korea's top 3 guilds, and together with Pungbek Guild, all 3 had arrived. But even faced with those invitations, Kim Han-ul still refused. Sorry, I have something more important to do right now. With that, he left. Joining a guild now would not benefit him in any way. On the contrary, it would only slow his pace. Right now, he had only one primary goal, the Garden of Meditation. At present, his top priority was the Garden of Meditation. Meanwhile, Pungbek Guild Vice Guild leader Yoon Soo-hyuk received a call from Kim Han-ul. I'm planning to head to the deepest part of the Garden of Meditation dungeon. I want to get some information from you. Information? That's expensive for a guild. Why should I tell you? Because I have a way to clear the entire Garden of Meditation dungeon. Yoon Soo-hyuk froze on the spot. Are you serious? Of course. As long as I clear it, I'll publicly tell the media that it was Pungbek Guild that helped me achieve victory. Looks like you have a trump card, but can you really clear it alone? I guarantee it. No problem. In that case, I'll take the gamble. First, you need to join my guild. Before he could finish, Kim Han-ul refused, and told him that the other 2 major guilds had also come to recruit him. Yoon Soo-hyuk's face darkened after hearing that. Damn it, so those 2 also caught the scent? And now they want to snatch him by force? Thinking that, Yoon Soo-hyuk decided to cooperate with Kim Han-ul. Let's be clear first, the information I have only goes as far as the central area. I don't know anything deeper than that, and the dungeon's interior may have changed over the past year. Afterward, Yoon Soo-hyuk told Kim Han-ul everything he knew. The scene shifted, and Kim Han-ul arrived at the entrance to the Garden of Meditation dungeon, where the other hunters had already gathered. He deliberately put on the demon glasses, the monster-grade accessory that gave +5 to all stats. Seeing him arrive, a bald man immediately turned and asked, "So you're the one who said today that you're going to solo the dungeon? Nice to meet you. I'm Jo Guangsu from the Unyielding Guild. I hate people like you the most. Some people spent a whole month waiting to gather enough members and coordinate schedules. You relied on your S-rank magic power to cut in line and get your application approved directly. So once we're in there, don't expect us to help you. As far as I'm concerned, S-rank magic power doesn't mean much. In actual combat, that kind of rank may not be useful." After saying that, he stopped paying attention to Kim Han-ul and turned to discuss the mission with his teammates. It seemed Kim Han-ul's popularity was even worse than he had imagined. From their perspective, he really did look like an oddball. Normally, dungeon raids required a minimum number of people and had to be reserved a month in advance, so they were naturally displeased by his sudden appearance. No matter what, I should first see what these people are capable of. Skill, Sages I activated. In the next second, he saw clearly, every one of them was a C-rank hunter. That was fine too. None of them were qualified to follow him into the deepest part, which meant no one would be able to discover his secret. Very soon, the person in charge of this expedition began casting. Energy gathered violently ahead, and the dungeon entrance was forcibly opened. Everyone, get inside immediately. The gate won't stay open for long. Kim Han-ul stepped in last, and this was also his first time entering a dungeon. He steadied his breathing, wanting to see clearly what kind of place this really was. Garden of Meditation, capacity, 20 people, type, condition clearing breakthrough dungeon. And the moment he stepped inside, he was noticed by Viewer One. It was as if that person were standing above, overlooking everything. Hunter Kim Han-ul, good luck. At the Sovereign's request, partial adjustments will be made to the structure of the Garden of Meditation. In the next second, the entire dungeon shook violently, as if it were being rewritten by a hand. The scene shifted, and the group had already entered the dungeon. Jo Guangsu, who was leading them, suddenly sensed something was wrong. His eyes widened, as though he were seeing things. This was not the main entrance at all. What exactly was going on? There was no way a lake should appear near the main entrance. In other words, they had been thrown into an unknown area. This was far too abnormal. According to the information Yoon Soo-hyuk had provided, the entrance stage was very simple. One only had to hunt piglet monsters in the open field to clear it steadily. But now, the rules had changed completely. Just then, a system window popped up before everyone. Welcome to Garden of Meditation, Lake Zone. Providing mission briefing. Because the piglet monsters have been slaughtered in excessive numbers, they have ceased activity. Before nightfall, please protect the piglet monsters from the slaughterers. Once the mission is completed, you will pass through the lake zone and enter the deepest part of the dungeon. If you fail, all challengers will be erased. The moment they saw those words, everyone panicked instantly. Why did something like this have to happen to us? Boss, let's retreat. It's only just started. We can give up midway and exit right now. But when Zhou Guangsu opened the status window to give up, he discovered he could not press the option at all. I've been trying to withdraw since earlier, but the system just won't let me. Current remaining piglet monsters, 130. 2 piglet monsters were killed by the slaughterers. Current remaining piglet monsters, 128. The bald boss immediately turned to ask Kim Hana whether he knew what was going on. Kim Hana also did not know why things had turned out like this, but he really did know the information about the lake zone. If you want me to provide information, fine. But until the mission is complete, you must follow my command. Before the bald boss and the others could finish hesitating, the system prompted, current remaining piglet monsters, 124. With no other choice, the bald boss could only grit his teeth and agree. First step, get a grasp on the terrain. Kim Hanal crouched down and quickly drew a simple map on the ground. At the center was a huge lake, and the streams throughout the forest all flowed into it. The bald boss frowned on the spot. How could you possibly know that? I have a scouting skill that lets me sense the surrounding environment. But no one knew that the true source was the map provided by the Dream Sovereign's castle. The mission is to save the piglet monsters from the slaughterers, so the first thing is to find the piglet monsters. They live in wetlands. Judging by their habits, these 8 areas on the map are the most likely places for them. We must find them before the slaughterers kill them all, then escort them to one place for concentrated protection. By the time he finished speaking, the number of piglet monsters had already dropped to 121. If there are no objections, stop hesitating and split up to search immediately. The bald boss gave the order at once, and all the team members set off, rushing toward the marked points on the map. As for Kim Hano, he chose to remain behind alone. The Dream Sovereign's castle has provided hidden information on Meditation Lake. A hidden mission exists. Please find the mission and claim the reward. A hidden mission? What exactly was it? As Kim Hanal searched, he spotted a group of lizard men holding weapons. These guys, were the slaughterers killing the piglet monsters? A single lizard man was only D rank, but once they gathered together, the threat rose exponentially. He was just about to avoid them, when he heard someone complaining not far away. Why should we have to run around everywhere just because of one sentence from some guy we don't even know? Damn it, those 2 idiots actually ran over here on their own. While the long-haired man was still feeling smug, a cold flash of sword light swept past, and his head was instantly cut off by a lizard man that had appeared out of nowhere. The companion beside him was scared stupid on the spot. When he came back to his senses, he roared and charged forward, throwing a punch filled with power. But in the next second, his fist was firmly caught by a suddenly extended hand. The lizard men gained a group bonus, and their rank rose from D rank to B rank. The man's pupils contracted, and cold sweat instantly broke out. The 4 lizard men in front of him formed a circle, locking him in. One of them gave a violent yank and tore his arm off by force. Just as the lizard man raised its weapon to deliver the fatal blow, a hand steadily caught that weapon. The one who made the move was precisely Kim Hano's #1 combat force, the goblin slave, Gono. While that fool was still staring blankly at the goblin, Kim Hano slowly approached from the shadows. If I remember correctly, the area I assigned you to search wasn't here, right? As expected, I can't place too much hope in you people. Go back and get treatment first. Leave this place to me. Clutching his severed arm, the man scrambled away in a panic. Gono, there's no time. Finish this quickly. In the next second, Gono charged forward violently. Skill activated, Raven Wing Beat. He moved at high speed, continuously jumping and weaving around the lizard men. The lizardmen's reaction simply could not keep up with that speed. Gono seized an opening, and brought his club down, directly blowing apart the upper body of one of them, before they could even react. The next strike killed another one. At the moment the lizardmen roared and slashed with their claws, Gono slid low across the ground to evade, then spun with the motion and struck again, taking down another. Only then did Kim Hano finally relax completely. This was not a battle, but a cleanup. At that moment, the last lizard man, waving a sharp blade, charged straight at Kim Hano. Not low on intelligence, huh? You even know to kill the commander first. Too bad, you picked the wrong person. Skill, King's Afterimage activated. In an instant, oppressive power erupted from within Kim Hana. He stepped forward and drove a punch into the monster's chest. King's Afterimage adds the attributes of the strongest monster from the previous wave to your own. Effect remaining time, 29 minutes 49 seconds. At the same time, Gono also finished off the remaining lizard men. Gono, you did well this time. Keep it up. Gono's favorability increased by 10 points. Kim Hano sold all the dropped mana stones. Current gold, 370 G. First sale of a mana stone containing a lizardman soul. The Dream Sovereign's Castle has issued you one high-grade draw ticket. There were 7 minutes left before the goblin slave would return to the castle. There was no time now. Once Gono was recalled, the situation would immediately become troublesome. Kim Hana was feeling irritated when Gono suddenly showed a flattering smile. You may pay gold to extend Gono's summoning time. Cost, 5 gold per 10 minutes. You can do that too? As long as I pay, I can keep summoned creatures working indefinitely. Just then, hurried movement came from the forest. A group of piglet monsters suddenly came running toward them. What was going on? Why had they suddenly appeared here? And there were so many of them. How was he supposed to bring them to a safe place? Unexpectedly, Gono began babbling at the piglet monsters. Monsters could actually communicate with each other. After Gono gave a simple explanation, the piglet monsters' eyes toward Kim Hanal changed instantly, as if they had grabbed hold of a lifeline, and they immediately surrounded him, desperately begging for help. Just like that, Kim Hanal led the group of piglet monsters toward the center of the lake, and along the way he also casually wiped out another batch of lizard men. The Sovereign's Castle has exhausted its funds for purchasing mana stones. Until funds are replenished, you will be unable to obtain mana stones through hunting. The unit capacity of the Sovereign's Castle has reached its limit. Kim Hanal had not expected that even the Sovereign's Castle could run out of gold one day. And there was also a limit to how many units of the same type could be commanded, which meant there was no point in deliberately chasing down lizard men anymore. Now there was only one thing that mattered: protecting these little guys. He alone had saved 60 of them, while only 70 remained in the entire field, which meant the others had only managed to save 10 even after risking their lives. Suddenly, the piglet monsters on his side seemed to receive some kind of summons and crazily charged toward the center of the lake. He did not know why, but he had to follow and protect them. By the time they rushed into the central area of the lake, they discovered that the others had already arrived as well. Night has fallen. The butchers have stopped hunting piglet monsters. Remaining piglet monsters, 70. Congratulations. You have successfully protected the piglet monsters from harm. Mission complete. Hidden mission achieved. The number of surviving piglet monsters has reached 70 or more. Everyone had just let out a sigh of relief, thinking they could finally leave this hellish place. But the great tree at the center of the lake was suddenly lifted by huge waves from below, and the meditation trial officially began. The previously calm lake surface suddenly surged into monstrous waves, which swept toward everyone, instantly swallowing up the bald boss and his group, before charging toward Kim Hanal as well. Faced with waves on this scale, even Kim Hanal could only grit his teeth and endure. But at the very moment of despair, the piglet monsters beside him suddenly lit up with yellow light, and the light connected into a barrier, forcibly blocking the giant wave. System prompt: the piglet monsters you saved from the butchers are expressing their gratitude to you. They will now become your shield and protect you. Together with the souls you have collected, endure the trial for 10 minutes. So they had this kind of power. Only then did Kim Hanal understand. Making them save the piglet monsters had never been a charity mission from the beginning. The more they saved, the safer they would be. Then the others were in danger. The bald man could barely keep standing now, because there was only one piglet monster by his side helping him block the waves. There were still 9 minutes left before the end. There was no way he could last until then. The others were in equally bad shape. Kim Hanal had to find a way to save them. Hidden mission discovered: suppress the source of the trial. Please locate and suppress the monster that has become the source of the lake bottom trial. The moment suppression succeeds, the trial will immediately end. This was clearly an instruction sent by the Sovereign's Castle. She wanted Kim Hanal to complete the hidden mission. He immediately put on the demon glasses. He had to first confirm what that thing at the bottom of the lake actually was. Accountable monster has been detected. Name: Zen Karuk. Elite monster. Base attributes: Strength 25, Agility 35, Stamina 30, Intelligence 90. Skill list: Cataclysmic Wave Level 1, Cataclysmic Storm Level 1, Tier of the Ancient God Level 5. It actually had a name. Named monsters were all special existences and often possessed unique skills, making them far more difficult than others of the same level. As expected, the hidden mission was not so easy to obtain. Worse still, Gono had no resistance to the water attribute and would be at a huge disadvantage fighting underwater. Then there was only one option: recruit a new companion. Skill: Sovereign Trait activated. The recruitment list immediately popped up. There just happened to be a troll berserker with water attribute resistance. But it came with no built-in equipment, and relying on its base attributes alone, it would be hard to suppress this kind of named elite monster. He needed a piece of equipment that could immediately raise the upper limit. So he took out that high-grade draw ticket. The instant the chest opened, golden light shot into the sky. S-rank equipment. When the golden light faded, an ancient-looking hat lay quietly before him. Kim Hanal stared at it in a daze. But the current was growing stronger and stronger. If they delayed any longer, they would all be swept apart. Forget it, there's no time to hesitate, I'll just fight it. 420 gold consumed. Recruitment successful. Summoning Troll Berserker. In the next second, a huge beast with overwhelming pressure descended before him. He immediately equipped it with the item he had just obtained. But the moment the hat was placed on its head, it collapsed to the ground. Kim Hanal frowned. What was going on? At the same time, the bald man could no longer hold on and was swept away by the current. Kim Hanal had no choice and could only rush over himself. King's afterimage only had 12 minutes remaining, so he had to race against time. He forced himself to explode with power, snatched the bald boss out of the water in one motion, and then clung tightly to the large tree beside him. But the current was fiercer and heavier than he had imagined. Just as he was about to be overturned, the troll arrived and used its body to resist the current head-on. The troll even spoke. Lord Sovereign, are you unharmed? Please forgive my late arrival. Your humble servant pays respect to the countenance of the king of all kings. Kim Hanal was completely stunned. What kind of monster had he just recruited? Gandorf the Great Mage's hat, rank S, slot, hat. This is the relic of a great mage who once saved a world from destruction. The moment this hat is worn, even a fool can become a genius. Intelligence plus 30. So that was it. A single hat had forcibly awakened a giant beast and even made it able to speak human language. This is all your grace, my lord. The moment I put on the hat, it was as though I had been reborn. Please give your commands freely, and I will do my utmost to carry them out. Before I give orders, let me ask you one thing. Can you use magic now? Yes, just now, I used that tree trunk to cast a water sealing spell. Hearing that, Kim Hanal finally showed a faint smile. Listen carefully. My first command is this. Break through the storm and advance toward the center of the lake. I will follow behind you. As you command, my lord. I guarantee completion. The troll raised the tree trunk and pushed forward step by step against the water pressure. This is ridiculous. It's my first time seeing someone use a tree trunk as a staff. Since you've gained intelligence, I'll give you a name, Odorf. How about it? At the moment he heard that name, Odorf became excited as if ignited. Rest assured, my lord, I will spend my entire life repaying your grace. The more Odorf fought, the more excited he became, and his advancing speed increased further as he pressed toward the center of the lake. At this rate, they would soon reach the core. Zen Kurok in the center of the lake also sensed that something was wrong. Someone had actually broken through its water domain magic and managed to approach this close. It would not allow it. Zen Kurok immediately cast a spell again. In the next second, Odorf's tree trunk struck something like an invisible wall and came to a forced stop. My lord, there is a special magic barrier ahead. My magic power is insufficient, so I cannot force my way through it head-on. Who told you to overpower it with magic? Use strength. Smash it apart. Odorf understood instantly and swung the tree trunk violently against the barrier. The entire barrier shook intensely. What is going on? Anyone able to pass through water domain magic should be a mage. But this vibration, the opponent's strength is also absurdly powerful. Still, this catastrophic tide is an insurmountable mountain. This barrier can only break if it simultaneously endures powerful magic and physical impact. Creatures like that are rare enough, let alone humans. My defense cannot possibly be broken. But under the combined force of Odorf's magic power and brute strength, cracks began to appear in the barrier. Good, Odorf, keep hitting it. It won't hold much longer. When Zen Kurok saw the cracks spreading, it finally panicked. Impossible. How could a mage possibly break this barrier? In the next second, the barrier still shattered, smashed apart by a single blow from Odorf. Only then did Zen Kurok finally see clearly who was outside. What? Why is there a troll out there? It could not understand. How could a troll possibly destroy the barrier? Let alone approach this far inside water domain magic. Don't tell it, that was a troll mage? At last, we meet, Zen Kurok. Isn't it time for you to admit defeat? Don't think that standing before me means you've already won. Breaking the barrier has already drained you greatly, while my magic power is still plentiful. With that, it cast another spell. In the air, a giant sphere of water rapidly condensed. My lord, the enemy's magic power is strong. How should we fight? Odorf, can you make ranged attacks? Odorf understood at once, wrapped the tree trunk in magic power, and then hurled it with all his might. Seeing this, Zen Kurok sneered instead. You think you can interrupt my casting with a tree trunk? Foolish. I already laid defensive magic around my entire body. An attack like that cannot possibly break my defense. But in the next second, that strike pierced through everything. Zen Kurok's eyes widened, as if it could not accept it. It had actually lost? What level of monster was this? Odorf, what was that attack just now? How could it possibly be that powerful? That wasn't magic. I just threw the tree trunk normally. Meanwhile, over at the Punkbag Guild headquarters, Boss Kong Wu, this time it's for real. We absolutely have to keep him. You just said, his name is Kim Hanal, right? Choi Kongwoo, S-rank, Guild Master of Punkbek Guild. The scene shifted, and the battle on Kim Hanal's side had already ended. Immediately afterward, Odorf handed the mana stone dropped by the boss to Kim Hanal. The moment Kim Hanal took it, He immediately threw the mana stone into the dream castle. Sold 1 special soul stone. The sovereign has issued rewards for you. 1 special space development ticket, 1 high-grade draw ticket. Reward, 4,000 gold. Due to a funding shortage in the sovereign's castle, the gold will be issued later. Elite monster Zen Kurok added to the sovereign's castle. Zen Kurok may now be deployed during game defense battles. After confirming the rewards, Kim Hanol returned to the place where everyone had gathered earlier. Thank you very much. It's thanks to you that we were saved. Although the others have lost their combat ability, fortunately they all survived. When the bald boss saw Kim Hanol return, he gritted his teeth and forced himself to stand. Step by step, he walked up to Kim Hanol, his voice hoarse. Mr. Kim Hanol? Seeing him like this, Kim Hanol could not help but complain inwardly. What is this guy trying to do now? Don't tell me he's about to do something stupid again? In the next second, however, the bald boss directly knelt down. Thank you so much for saving my life. I caused you so much trouble these past few days. I'm sorry. Thank you for saving me, and for saving my guild members too. There's no need for this. Saving people is a hunter's duty to begin with. Get up first. The others will wake up soon. If they see you like this, it'll be awkward. With that one sentence, Kim Hanol immediately made the bald boss's eyes grow hot. I will definitely repay you. Congratulations on successfully clearing this trial. All surviving challengers will receive rewards. Afterward, you may choose one of the following. Withdraw midway or continue deeper. Challengers who have lost consciousness will automatically choose withdraw midway. The bald boss could not help asking Kim Hanol which one he would choose. I still have things I haven't finished. I choose continue deeper. The bald boss understood it even less. At a time like this, shouldn't they leave first and rest? After this, I'll help you clear this dungeon together. No need. I have my own helpers. As he spoke, the Berserker Odorf and the Goblin Gono walked out one after the other. The moment the bald boss saw Odorf's overwhelmingly oppressive face, he was so frightened that he took several steps back and immediately widened the distance. It seems you really don't need help. All challengers have completed their choices. Elimination withdrawal will now be carried out immediately. After a simple farewell, the members of the Unyielding Guild passed through the portal and left the dungeon. Congratulations on completing the hidden mission restriction of the trial source. You have obtained a special reward. Meanwhile, at the Pungbak Guild headquarters. So you mean, we absolutely must recruit this hunter, Kim Hanol? Yes, I investigated him. His potential is already absurdly high. But Choi Kongwoo rejected it cleanly and decisively. Pungbak Guild is already the strongest of the 3 major guilds. There's no need to recruit a rookie who hasn't fully grown yet. We already have too many matters to deal with. So, just then, the phone beside him suddenly lit up. Warning, a dungeon with a red pattern has appeared. Emergency disaster alert. A nearby dungeon had gone wrong. And that red dungeon was the Garden of Meditation, where Kim Hanol was currently located. The staff had already taken over the scene and entered emergency alert. Choi Kongwoo immediately rushed to the site with Yoon Soo-hyuk and his sister. The probability of a dungeon rampage is extremely high. Citizens are currently being evacuated. In the event of an emergency, Pungbek Guild is requested to respond. Wait, what about the hunters who are still inside the dungeon right now? It has just been confirmed. 6 hunters have already exited the dungeon. They said there is still one person inside, and he seems to have already headed toward the deepest part of the dungeon. At that moment, a burly figure walked over. Ma Dongpao, S rank, Guild Master of Aegis Guild. Guild Master of Pungbuk, long time no see. What do you think about the hunter who went into the deepest part? Before Choi Kongwoo could speak, another voice cut in first. The abnormal change in the dungeon was very likely caused by that person. Sonare, S rank, Guild Master of Sonare Guild. The 3 guild masters of the 3 major guilds had all gathered at the scene. You should know that up until now, no one has ever entered the deepest part of this dungeon. That is indeed the most reasonable guess. But the problem is, who exactly is the one who went deeper? A staff member hurried over to report. We have confirmed the identity of the hunter who entered the deepest part. According to the survivor's description, the one left alone inside the dungeon was S-rank hunter, Kim Hanol. At this moment, Kim Hanol had already prepared to head to the deepest part of the dungeon. Before setting out, let me check the rewards carefully. He opened the reward screen. Challenger reward, all attributes plus 10. Contribution reward, all attributes plus 5. For completing the hidden mission, obtain the High Priest's Dimensional Bag, rank A, type, Dimensional Pouch. The bag contains a subspace and can hold up to 100 kilograms of items. Dimensional bag contents, Lizardman Hearts times 30, Lizardman Leather times 30, Lizardman Blood times 30. The above are additional rewards obtained for completing the hidden mission. Special space development tickets, 1. He did not yet know what this thing was for. It was probably some kind of item for tower defense battles. After organizing the reward items, Kim Hanol prepared to continue deeper. But although the system clearly said the gate has opened, he could not find any entrance at all. At that moment, the piglet monster from earlier staggered over, raised its hoof, and frantically gestured in the air. It seems to be telling us to follow. In the next second, all the piglet monsters ran wildly in the same direction. And when they reached the lakeside, they leaped straight up, falling into the lake one after another. The gate to the deepest part is at the bottom of the lake? Thinking that, Kim Han-il immediately led the group over, jumped into the lake together with the piglet monsters, and sank all the way down toward the bottom. Before long, he really did see a portal underwater. The piglet monsters pointed the way, and Kim Han-il followed immediately. Thank you. Without you leading the way, I probably wouldn't have found this place. Before entering the dungeon, Kim Han-il had asked Yin Soo-hyuk, "Why did you give up on going to the deepest part back then?" "Because my constellation warned me not to go in." If even a constellation deliberately warns you, that means the danger inside far exceeds everyone's expectations. This time, Kim Han-il also was not sure whether his choice was the right one. The challenger is entering the deepest part of the dungeon. When Kim Han-il opened his eyes again, the first thing he saw was the goblin's frightening face. He immediately stepped back several paces, his voice turning cold. "Gono, what are you doing? You almost scared me to death." The instant he passed through that gate, he seemed to have briefly lost consciousness. He immediately checked the surrounding environment. So this is the deepest part? A vast plain? Completely different from what I imagined. Welcome to the deepest part of the Garden of Meditation dungeon. The Garden of Meditation is facing an unprecedented crisis. In a world shrouded by the shadow of death from severe drought, this garden is the last paradise. However, countless invaders are continuously pouring in, attempting to seize it as their own. You must protect this final sanctuary, reshape the structure of the garden, and use its power to resist the coming invasion. Kim Han-il froze. Didn't this sound just like the tower defense system of monsters block monsters? The dream castle is located within the garden. You may overlook the garden from the castle in order to grasp the full picture. Seeing an interface almost exactly like a game, Kim Han-il actually felt a little excited instead. If it really was a tower defense mechanism, then he might not fail. Please first place buildings in the garden in order to resist the coming tide. Let me confirm one thing first. What combat forces do we have on our side? World Tree Wall. A wall composed of vines parasitic on the World Tree. The roots of the World Tree are deeply embedded within it. When monsters approach, it releases magic power to block their advance. Enchantment Tree. When monsters approach, it spreads pollen. Monsters that inhale the pollen will be charmed and their movement restricted for 5 minutes. Carnivorous Plant Zyra. Devours monsters that enter within a 1-meter radius. Monsters swallowed by it will be bound by Zyra's roots and continuously tortured until death. Looking at these plant-type units, Kim Han-il finally felt some confidence. At least this time, he would not just have to passively take hits. By the way, can I bring these powerful units back to the castle? Guardians may not arbitrarily damage the garden. I knew it wouldn't be that simple. He was still thinking about how to deploy them when a purple orb suddenly appeared beside him. 1A rank or higher monster has been detected. Only then did Kim Han-il notice the faintly flickering sphere of light, and he directly reached out and grabbed it. If I weren't wearing the glasses, I really wouldn't have noticed it. Demon Sage, a named special monster. Attribute analysis is currently unavailable. Skill, Peep level 1. Can monitor any target without being noticed, and ordinary disguises cannot evade its detection. Skill, Infant Petrification level 1. Temporarily prevents a designated target from moving. Ineffective against high-ranked targets. An eye demon? The eye demons I've seen were all huge. This one hasn't fully grown yet, but it has a name, so it should be useful. Gono, send it back to the Sovereign's castle. But just as Kim Han-il was about to throw the eye demon away, an unknown constellation demands the release of the eye demon sage. The constellation called Gardener of the Mother Goddess roars at you again, ordering you to release the eye demon. Kim Han-il stared at the system window, his heart sinking. Why would a constellation interfere here? Could it be that constellations are the real managers of dungeons? No wonder Yin Soo-hyuk's constellation warned him. Whatever the reason, this constellation clearly cares deeply about this little thing. If that's the case, how could I possibly let this chance pass? He spoke to the system window. Great constellation, this little fellow has special meaning to you, doesn't it? The constellation warned again. Release the eye demon sage immediately. Hey, if you want someone's help, at least get your attitude straight. This little thing is in my hands right now. If you keep this up, I don't mind eliminating it directly. Just as Kim Han-il was about to fling the eye demon in his hand away, the Gardener of the Mother Goddess issued a special mission. Ensure the safe return of the eye demon sage until the tide recedes. Reward, obtain ownership of the eye demon sage. Not bad. An unexpected gain. He immediately replied to the Gardener of the Mother Goddess. I accept the mission. I'll protect it. But before that, I want to ask you a question. Why go to such lengths to find guardians to protect the garden? Even if the invaders are strong, a constellation of your level should be able to suppress them directly. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess explained. It had originally been with the help of the eye demon sage that the invaders were held back, but its ability was already close to its limit, so a new replacement was needed. So that's why you care about it so much. But if even you are close to your limit, just how strong are the enemies? Can I really stop the tide with just myself? The Gardener of the Mother Goddess indicated that was not the case. It simply thought tower defense was too boring and did not want to keep playing. Kim Hanul was speechless listening to that. Tower defense is obviously my favorite kind of game, and he actually says it's boring, and says it that completely. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess looked down on him and said that tower defense was boring to death, and that was simply a fact. That's only because you've never experienced the true fun of tower defense. I'm an expert in this field. If you're willing to quietly give me a few extra rewards, I can complete the mission while also teaching you a bit about how to play. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess scratched its belly and said it had no need for that. Kim Hanul's eyes turned cold, and he directly tightened his grip on the Eye Demon Sage, signaling Gono to get ready to send it flying with one club strike. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess nodded forcefully, indicating its willingness to add some extra rewards. The scene shifted, and the tide had already begun. The invading monsters had barely appeared when they were directly swallowed by the roadside carnivorous plant Zyra. Gardener of the Mother Goddess, did you see clearly? If you do it my way, defending will be much easier in the future. Now, let's talk about the next wave of the tide. Monster lineup for Wave 10. Hellhounds times 3, Gold Bees times 10, Iron Golems times 5. Gardener of the Mother Goddess, if it were you, how would you set up the defense? The Gardener of the Mother Goddess raised a hand and gently rubbed its belly. Kim Hanul's irritation flared. Don't tell me it's not that you think tower defense is boring, but that you're just terrible at it? Pierced through face-to-face by Kim Hanul, the Gardener of the Mother Goddess flew into a rage on the spot and directly submitted a defense layout. So you're finally willing to think seriously? But your formation is way too extreme, isn't it? Why stack all 20 Zyras at the entrance? That setup won't work. The firepower might be enough, but Zyras move too slowly. So you need to plant enchantment trees beside them and use charm to pin the enemies in place, making up for Zyra's weakness in speed. And that's not all. The Gold Bee Queen is immune to charm, so the enchantment trees are useless against it. Iron Golems are immune to magic, which means even the World Tree Wall can't stop them. At times like this, you use this. As he spoke, Kim Hanul took out a small round ball from his pocket. The bullets of the pea shooter are extremely sticky. We'll use that stickiness to slow the Iron Golem's movement. It can even knock flying units out of the air, and make them sink into sticky mud so they can't move. If the coordination is done properly, defense becomes very easy. Next came the monster information for Wave 25. Giant Dragon Beast times 1, Wolf Packs times 5, Ghouls times 6. This wave has a giant unit. Gardener of the Mother Goddess, if it were you, how would you defend? After serious thought, the Gardener of the Mother Goddess came up with its plan. Kim Hanul looked at the formation map and paused in surprise. You want to lure all the monsters into the very center? Then use enchantment trees and pea seeds to lock down their movement and wipe them all out in one go at the end? Not bad. Looks like you really took in what I just said. I'll use your plan for this wave. Congratulations. You have successfully repelled Wave 25 of the tide. From then on, for every wave of the tide, Kim Hanul had the Gardener of the Mother Goddess handle the formation, and they held out all the way until the end of Wave 62. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess's mentality has undergone a major change. Mission adjusted. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess has willingly volunteered to become a guardian. The mission objective has changed from defense to guidance. Just what I wanted. From now on, I'll teach you all the techniques of defensive warfare. So from that point on, Kim Hanul began guiding it in reverse on what to do. Congratulations. You have successfully repelled Wave 99 of the tide. This progression had gone absurdly smoothly. After watching the Gardener of the Mother Goddess's handling of these waves, Kim Hanul had already confirmed that even without him, it could steadily clear the dungeon. Wave 100 of the tide is about to arrive. The sight before them made both of them fall silent at once. A gigantic mammoth stepped into the garden, and the ground shook. Information for the Wave 100 monster, Colossus times 1. Against a colossal beast of this level, the garden's units alone probably could not stop it. We'll take it from here. As soon as those words fell, Kim Hanul, the Goblin Gono, and the Berserker Odorf charged forward at the same time. Gardener of the Mother Goddess, this is the final lesson I'm giving you. Watch carefully. Before the final boss, all the obstacles laid out earlier were as fragile as paper. With just a single roar, the vines on its body were shaken apart inch by inch. Fortunately, one of its legs was still tightly entangled. Even if it was only for an instant, that was enough for a counterattack. But in the next second, the colossal beast roared again, and countless red points instantly lit up in its fur. Immediately afterward, those red points came flooding toward Kim Hanul like a storm. Blood Flea. Strength 10, Agility 25, Constitution 5, Bloodsucking Level 1. Kim Hanul was stunned. There was actually a swarm of these things hidden in the beast's fur. He was just about to take the surprise attack head-on. when Odorf and Gono behind him stepped forward at the same time, blocking in front of him and knocking away all the blood fleas that came at him. Good thing you two are here, or something would have happened just now. But just as Kim Hanal felt the blood fleas were nothing much, an even denser army of blood fleas pressed down from the air. Kim Hanal's scalp tingled at the sight. There were too many for the three of them to kill completely. Odorf was huge, and could smash several with one punch, and Gono could also quickly cut down several. But their single target kill speed was still too slow. Right now he needed a follower capable of dealing large area damage, or sooner or later they would be drowned in a sea of blood fleas. The Sovereign's castle has deposited 4,000 gold for Zen Karuk's soul stone. That message came at exactly the right time, and Kim Hanal immediately opened the Sovereign trade interface. He swiftly recruited a new unit from the monster list. In the next second, he directly summoned a monster he had defeated before. Successfully summoned. High Lizardman Priest. The High Priest was still confused the moment it appeared. Where am I? What am I supposed to do? But after hearing Kim Hanal's order, it immediately raised its staff and cast high-level magic. Water spheres continuously gathered at the tip of the magic staff, then shot one after another at the blood fleas in the air. The terrifying power stirred up a huge water tornado throughout the area. Good. It's a bit weaker than last time under the lake, but it's enough. With its area damage, these little mobs are nothing. Before long, the blood fleas were wiped out completely. Well done, Zen Karuk. Now only this boss is left. Kim Hanal's gaze darkened, and he suddenly had an idea. Odorf, throw Gono toward the giant beast's head. Both of them froze, as if they had misheard. There's no time to explain. Trust me, do it now. Left with no choice, the two of them could only cooperate. Odorf swung his arm and launched Gono like a cannonball, sending him straight toward the giant beast. Gono, now, activate acceleration. Skill, Raven Wing Beat activated. Kim Hanal knew very well that with Gono's strength alone, he could not pierce the boss's outer hide. So speed had to be used to drive the impact force to the absolute limit. Zen Karuk wrapped Gono in water magic. Tear of the Ancient God activated. A shield formed from flowing water protects the designated target. A blue barrier instantly formed around Gono. At the moment of full force collision, the two terrifying forces struck each other head-on. In the end, Gono forcibly pierced straight through the boss's body. System prompt: congratulations, you have passed the Garden's trial, and successfully cleared the Garden of Meditation dungeon. Kim Hanal was shaken by that prompt, when a golden sword descended from the sky and stabbed straight into the ground before them. Final reward item has been issued. Emperor's Echo, rank, uncertain, equipment slot, weapon. The Emperor is a being that embraces all things. Therefore, this holy sword forged in the Emperor's name can contain everything. You may use Echo Replication. Echo Replication. Insert a summoning orb into the groove in the sword hilt to choose and copy the monster's highest attribute value, as well as one of its skills. While Echo Replication is in effect, monsters cannot be summoned. Kim Hanal stared at the description, his heart tightening. What exactly did can contain everything mean? In other words, the rank and effect of this sword would change depending on the orb inserted into it. The gardener of the Mother Goddess asked him, "What kind of extra reward do you want?" Only then did Kim Hanal remember that he had asked for an extra reward earlier. A reward? Since it's coming from a constellation, then I want that. Gardener of the Mother Goddess, grant me your authority. So-called authority was an exclusive power that could only be obtained after forming a contract with a constellation. A person who acquired authority would gain overwhelming improvements in attributes and skills, and their combat power would grow exponentially. If he could obtain that kind of power, it would be a transformative help to him. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess said that request was impossible for him to fulfill. Kim Hanal understood it even less. Why? You're unwilling? It was not unwillingness. It said that in Kim Hanal's current state, he could not form a contract with it, because he had already signed one with another constellation. That's impossible. How would I not know that myself? The Gardener of the Mother Goddess smiled faintly. It told Kim Hanal that there were now only two choices: either accept a different reward instead of authority, or form a sponsorship contract. If he chose the sponsorship contract, he could use a downgraded version of authority. That works too. Even if it isn't full authority, it's still better than the other rewards. Besides, I'm guessing the true identity of the Gardener of the Mother Goddess is that person. The one beloved by the Earth Goddess Ishtar. Sargon, the first emperor of humankind. The only figure in history who received the love of the Earth Goddess starting from the position of Gardener. So I'm certain it's him. I choose to form a sponsorship contract. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess said this was a very wise choice. In the next second, the power of the contract erupted from within it and flowed into Kim Hanal, and a force of law seeped into his body. You have formed a sponsorship contract with the Gardener of the Mother Goddess. You have obtained new abilities through the power of authority. Poison resistance acquired. The probability of being poisoned is greatly reduced. Fear resistance acquired. Even in extreme terror, you will not lose your sanity. All attributes increased by 10 points. Seeing these new abilities, Kim Han-il was very satisfied. As expected, I chose correctly. The Gardener of the Mother Goddess has transferred the I-Demon Sage to you. Your affiliated monster will obtain information related to the Sovereign's castle. The Garden of Meditation dungeon has been fully conquered. For unlock conditions for the skill Speak with the Sovereign have now been completed. Repel a monster tide. Completed. Gameplay duration exceeds 50 hours. Completed. Speak with a constellation. Completed. Obtain the recognition of a constellation. Completed. Information for the final condition has now been unlocked. The final condition, use monster byproducts to forge an item of S-rank quality or higher. The scene shifted back to the outside world. At this moment, the gate of the Garden of Meditation dungeon opened once again, and all the hunters guarding the area instantly entered combat mode. Once a dungeon rampages, monsters pour out in groups. Everyone had to be ready for battle. The Guild Master of Aegis Guild immediately ordered his members, leave the charge to us. Everyone else, hold the line. But in the next second, the only one who walked out of the portal was Kim Han-il. No one could believe it, he had actually come out alive. The Guild Master of Aegis Guild suddenly realized something. He's here, so does that mean he already cleared the dungeon? At this moment, the Garden of Meditation dungeon was gradually disappearing, which meant it really had been completely cleared. The scene before him left Kim Han-il confused. He had only cleared one dungeon, so was there really any need to mobilize this many people? What was even more ridiculous was that the masters of all three major guilds were present. At that moment, a staff member hurried over from the side. Hunter Kim Han-il, it is a pleasure to see you. I am Kim Jong-soo from the Hunter Association Management Headquarters. Thank you very much for clearing the Garden of Meditation dungeon. After hearing the explanation, Kim Han-il finally understood. The three major guilds had rushed over because the Garden of Meditation had nearly gone into rampage earlier. But he still felt something was off. Even if it had rampaged, there was no reason for all three guild masters to come here together, right? Could it be they had come for him? When everyone noticed the bloodstone in his hand, all their expressions changed. Bloodstone was a rare material used to craft S-rank equipment. Holding it meant that he had killed the boss of the deeper region. At that moment, all three guild masters had no choice but to reassess Kim Han-il. Ma Dongpal, the guild master of Aegis Guild, was the first to step forward. Kid, I like what I see. Want to join my guild? Kim Han-il refused directly. I have no plans to join any guild right now. Ma Dongpal froze on the spot, for this was the first time anyone had ever rejected him to his face. Kim Han-il then turned around and sincerely thanked Yoon Soo-yuk. Thanks to the information you gave me, I was able to understand the whole situation. Those words made Ma Dongpal grind his teeth in frustration. He had also wanted to ask Yoon Soo-hyuk for information before, but had been refused. Isn't that only natural? Our information is ours to give to whoever we want. The two major guilds actually started arguing in public over trying to recruit Kim Han-il. At that moment, the guild master of Sonare Guild walked up to Kim Han-il and quietly slipped a postcard into his pocket. Remember to contact me. Only I can satisfy your needs. The scene shifted again, to the next day. Based on the information Sonari had provided over the phone, Kim Han-il found a lead on an artisan who could handle the bloodstone. Following the location, he arrived at a place, Adorarium Cafe, a high-end cafe that only the country's top hunters could enter. Just as rumored, everyone sitting here was a well-known hunter. The former Kim Han-il had never imagined he would ever set foot in a place like this. But now, he had finally stepped across the threshold of the strong. As he was suppressing his excitement, a voice came from behind him. Well, look who's here. Isn't this Hunter Kim Han-il, the man who cleared the Garden of Meditation? I'm Hong Han-sul from the Bone Crusher Guild. The moment he heard Bone Crusher Guild, Kim Han-il immediately became more alert, for that guild was notorious and cruel in its methods. As long as they were paid, they would take any commission. They were a malignant presence everyone avoided. Kim Han-il did not want to get involved with people like that and was prepared to ignore him outright. But the other man refused to let him go. Don't be so cold. I heard you turned down the three major guilds. Are you trying to raise your price? You really are greedy. Those words instantly disgusted Kim Han-il. And Hong Han-sul's aim was very clear. He wanted to provoke him and make him lose face in a public setting like this. But Kim Han-il quickly suppressed his emotions. I don't care about rumors. You're not welcome here either. Please leave. At that moment, a cool yet sweet voice cut in. Sorry, I'm late. Why is the atmosphere here so tense? Was there some kind of conflict? The guild master of Sonare appeared before the two of them. Hong Han-sul wanted to step forward and ingratiate himself, but she did not even spare him a glance, and sat directly across from Kim Han-il instead. Sorry, this place is very nice, but there are always one or two cockroaches crawling around. It's fine. I don't mind either. Hearing that, Hong Han-sul's anger shot to the top, but a single look from the guild master of Sonare suppressed him on the spot. Why are you still standing there? If you have nothing else to do, leave immediately. Hong Han-sul trembled with rage, but in the end, he could only turn around and leave in disgrace. All right, the eyesore is gone. Let's talk business. I have a question. Why are you helping me with no conditions attached? The guild master of Sonare answered bluntly. I'm betting on your future. To make your heart lean more toward Sonare Guild. I placed a weight called favor on the scale. To know that Sonare Guild could become one of Korea's 3 top guilds, there were 2 key reasons. First was the combat power and leadership of Guild Master Sonare herself. Second was their equipment advantage, almost overwhelming. And the source of that top-tier equipment was rumored to be an exceptionally skilled artisan hidden within the guild. Information about that artisan was sealed so tightly that Kim Han-ul had even thought the person lived secluded in the deep mountains. But the truth was, Sonare Guild's artisan was in Mullidong, Seoul. After that, the two left the cafe and headed for their destination. At this moment, the guild master of Sonare activated an illusion spell. And in the eyes of outsiders, she had already become someone with a different face. Combined with her sharp perception, which let her shake off malicious followers in advance, this was how they ensured the artisan's absolute safety. But what they did not know was that ever since leaving the cafe, Hong Han-sol had been following them from the shadows. Kim Han-ul, I'll make you pay for ignoring me. Very soon, Kim Han-ul and Sonare arrived at a secret smithy. You're finally here. Do you know how late you are? Sorry. It took some time to bring this guest here. If you had been any later, I would have closed up and gone back. Where's the gemstone you mentioned? Kim Han-ul immediately took out the bloodstone. Blacksmith San-chun took the bloodstone and immediately lowered his head to examine it. Incredible, this is actually the highest grade magic stone. He could confirm it at a glance, because the surface was smooth to the extreme, without even the slightest scratch. That was the defining feature of a top-grade magic stone. I'll take this job. Sign this agreement. The magic seal contract was a magical contract formed between both parties. Anyone who broke it would be punished, and the severity of the punishment varied with the contract's grade. Judging by the material and the texture of the patterns, this contract was of extremely high grade. But one clause in it made even Kim Han-ul's heart sink. The contract clearly stated, if the agreement was not fulfilled, the violator would be burned alive by flames. You don't need to worry. If I, as the craftsman, fail to complete the forging, or run off with the bloodstone, the one burned alive by fire will only be me. There's no need to go that far, is there? Even without a contract, I would trust a master craftsman. No, this contract represents my resolve. With a bloodstone of this level, a craftsman ought to stake his life just to earn the right to work on it. After all the details had been settled, Kim Han-ul and the guild master of Sonare prepared to leave. Get in. I'll give you a ride. Kim Han-ul refused. He still had personal matters to take care of. But before I leave, I want to ask you something. What do the people in this district mean to you? The way you all look together, it's like a family. Those words from Kim Han-ul made the guild master of Sonare misunderstand something. And the magic power inside her instantly erupted, the pressure directly filling the entire space. The scene shifted back to the smithy. Unbelievable. This is the first time in my life I've seen such a perfect, flawless bloodstone. But just as he was about to begin forging, a loud crash suddenly came from outside. The door was violently kicked open. Master San-chun's expression changed, and he immediately put away the bloodstone. Then looked up to see Hong Han-sol walking in with 2 burly men, his face full of ill intent. Hello there, old man. I heard Hunter Kim Han-ul left some material with you. Would you mind handing it over to us? Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing here that you're talking about. Please leave at once. There's no point lying. We just saw Hunter Kim Han-ul come here with a woman. You're just an old man running an ordinary smithy. What would you know about the value of a bloodstone? Be smart and hand it over. So that's it. These people had been following Hunter Kim Han-ul all along. Seeing that Master San-chun refused to budge, Hong Han-sol's gaze darkened, and he prepared to take it by force. But at that moment, his 2 companions suddenly froze in place as if nailed to the ground. No matter how Hong Han-sol barked orders, the 2 gave no response at all. Boss, my body won't move. Hong Han-sol naturally did not believe such nonsense, and swung a punch straight at the man's face. But even after taking that punch, the man still did not move at all. What's going on? Your body, it's hard as stone. At that moment, Kim Han-ul's voice came from the side. Looks like low-level petrification really doesn't work on A-rank powerhouses. What a shame. Kim Han-ul was controlling the eye-demon and had activated its petrification skill. Time rewound to a little earlier, when Kim Han-ul followed the guild master of Sonare, one of the 3 major guild leaders, into that secret district. The eye-demon sage sent a warning. Someone was tailing them from behind. The one following them was Hong Han-sol of the Bone Crushers, whom he had seen earlier that day. Kim Han-ul was stunned on the spot. Even the guild master of Sonare had not noticed, yet the eye-demon had exposed him. That was the eye-demon sage's peep ability. It could monitor targets without being noticed, and no disguise-type skill could escape its perception. In order not to alert the enemy, Kim Han-ul had the eye-demon sage continue watching, while he himself pretended to know nothing, wanting to first figure out the other side's purpose. The result became clear very quickly. What Hong Han-sol was after was the bloodstone. Luckily, he had discovered it early enough. I'll give you one chance. Take your people and leave right now. I can pretend none of this happened. But Hong Hansol laughed. Don't make me laugh. What do you think you can do to me? A mere B-rank rookie dares put on airs in front of me? I'm an A-rank hunter contracted to the constellation Barefoot secret-stealing thief. Damn it, how did he discover me? This stealth is a god-tier ability granted by my constellation. Even S-ranks shouldn't be able to see through it. Forget it. Since I'm exposed, I'll just subdue him directly and take the bloodstone. He drew 2 daggers, preparing to strike first. But Kim Hanul was one step faster, raising his hand and throwing out a monster orb, and smoke instantly burst open. Before Hong Hansol could even understand what Kim Hanul was doing, a pitch-black figure slowly emerged from the smoke. What had been summoned was none other than the goblin Gono. When Hong Hansol saw clearly that it was a goblin, he sneered on the spot. Don't tell me this is your trump card. You think you can beat me with a goblin? You actually had me nervous for a second. Kim Hanul then drew the holy sword he had obtained in the dungeon. The moment Hong Hansol saw the sword, his eyes filled with greed. That sword, it's valuable. You really do have quite a few good things on you. As he spoke, he leaped forward, slashing at Kim Hanul with his daggers and then rushing him with a furious strike. But at the exact moment he attacked, a constellation warning window suddenly popped up. Barefoot secret-stealing thief ordered him, stop immediately and flee at once. Before Hong Hansol could react, he was hit head-on by a club, and Gono's strike smashed him straight into the ground. Nicely done, just as expected of my first goblin companion. But Hong Hansol still managed to force himself back to his feet. You damned goblin. I couldn't even be bothered with a low-level monster like this at first. But you forced my hand. Yet in the next second, when he saw Gono's speed, his whole body froze. How is this possible? How can this goblin be so fast? Barefoot secret-stealing thief warned him again. Even if he wanted to run now, it was already too late. All the bystanders were dumbfounded. A goblin was actually suppressing an A-rank hunter so badly that he had no room to fight back. Gono, enough. If you keep going, someone will die. Barefoot secret-stealing thief has terminated its contract with Hong Hansol. After confirming that the other party had lost the ability to resist, Kim Hanul finally had Gono withdraw. Hong Hansol dropped to his knees on the spot, his voice trembling. I was wrong. Please spare me this once. If you're only asking for my forgiveness, I can let it slide. Hong Hansol felt relieved, and even began thinking about how he would take revenge later. But Kim Hanul's next sentence drained all the color from his face. But I'm not sure whether she will let you go. Then the guild master of Sonari walked over in anger. In the next second, Hong Hansol was completely engulfed by crimson flames. After they successfully subdued the 3 members of the Bone Crusher Guild, Kim Hanul immediately apologized to Blacksmith San Chun. I'm sorry. Dragging you into danger was my fault. But after that, the 2 sides argued over how to deal with the 3 men. Blacksmith San Chun insisted, handing them over to the Hunter Association would be enough. The guild master of Sonari's attitude, however, was more direct, deal with them on the spot. Under Blacksmith San Chun's repeated insistence, the guild master of Sonari could only compromise. You're too soft-hearted. Sooner or later, that'll come back to hurt you. After settling on how to handle them, Blacksmith San Chun turned to Kim Hanul and said that the bloodstone's processing would be completed by tomorrow night. In order not to disturb Blacksmith San Chun's work any further, Kim Hanul got into the guild master of Sonari's car and left first. Thank you again this time. If you hadn't discovered it in time, I might have lost someone important to me. If you ever need my help in the future, just say the word. Alright, I will. After exchanging a few simple words, the 2 parted ways. But just then, the system abruptly dropped a notice on him. Prepare yourself. Wave 702 will begin in 2 hours. Kim Hanul had not expected that the moment he got home, he would be facing a world-destroying crisis like this. The previous wave had already nearly wiped them out, and this time, it would probably be even more like hell. When the time came, a dazzling light suddenly flared, launching monsters block monsters. In the next second, multiple system windows popped up around Kim Hanul. He first checked the units currently deployable in the Sovereign's castle. Goblin Slave ×1, Goblin Warriors ×3, Zen Karok ×1, Lizard Men ×20, Troll Warrior ×1. Compared to last time, his forces had already become much stronger. As the only player, you will receive a special buff reward. A merchant will appear in this tide, and you may purchase items from it. All may be used during this round of monster spawning. The item merchant has entered the Sovereign's castle and is currently arranging goods before the Sovereign. Item list: 1 Monster Energy Bar Set, 1 Molotov Blast Set, 1 Molotov Blast Set, Freezing Horn, Focus Incense. When he saw the item list, Kim Hanul's eyes lit up, and he immediately opened the effects. Monster Energy Bar Set ×25, restores the HP and MP of all monsters deployed within the Sovereign's castle. This was equivalent to giving his team several extra lives. Used well, it could turn the tables at a critical moment. The other items were also good, but this one was a must-buy. As for the rest, he had to first look at the wave composition before choosing more precisely. Would you like to view the information for Wave 702? This pop-up made Kim Han-ul pause. In the previous round, this had clearly only appeared after battle started. But no matter what, this was good news. Wave 702 monster lineup. 1 7-star monster plus 1,199 2-star monsters. Kim Han-ul instantly understood why the system had shown it to him in advance. More than 1,000 2-star monsters was no joke at all. Even knowing beforehand, it would be hard for him to come up with a solution. This looked like an impossible mission. At that moment, the Demon Sage actually flew out on its own, and frantically gestured toward the treasure chest in the system window. You're right, when trapped in a game, treasure chests are often the only way out. Item list, Advanced Draw Ticket ×1, Special Space Development Ticket ×1. Kim Han-ul immediately clicked the Advanced Draw ticket. Starting Advanced Draw. A dazzling white light burst from the system window, and what he drew left Kim Han-ul staring in shock on the spot. But before he even had time to process it, Wave 702 began immediately. This wave's monsters consisted of 600 warriors, 400 archers, 199 knights, 1 rider king, and 1 special hero unit. Looking at that lineup, a chill instantly ran down Kim Han-ul's back. The monster army has breached the front gate of the Lord's castle. The Demon Sage was even more panicked than he was, frantically flying above his head. Don't panic. Everything is part of his plan. In games, I've fought undead creatures more times than I can count. Relax, watch how I handle this. And before Wave 702 began, Kim Han-ul had already used the Special Space Development ticket, spend gold to instantly open up an exclusive special space. Just by looking at the numbers, together with that special hero unit, he could basically confirm it. This wave was an undead army. In that case, viewing buildable structure list, an already built special space may be changed to another space of the same rank after the tide ends. Thorn Trap Chamber, 200 gold, Luminous Purifying Salt Chamber, 200 gold, Mobile Bulwark, 200 gold, Tentacle Trap Chamber, 300 gold, Slowing Healing Nexus, 300 gold. Looking at the list, the corner of Kim Han-ul's mouth lifted slightly. There was just the building he needed to counter them specifically. He placed the order without hesitation. Spend 200 gold to purchase construction rights for the Luminous Purifying Salt Chamber. Construction of the special space has begun. Before long, the Luminous Purifying Salt Chamber was completed. In Masters Block Masters, almost no one ever used the Luminous Purifying Salt Chamber. It really could enhance allied attributes, but under normal circumstances the boost was so small it was almost impossible to notice. But it had one exception, when facing an undead army. 500 undead monsters have entered the range of the Luminous Purifying Salt Chamber. Thanks to the blessing of Luminous Purifying Salt, damage dealt to undead monsters within the castle has surged by 500%. The increase in damage they receive is equal to the number of undead that entered this place. With this one chamber alone, sometimes an entire undead army could be erased outright. If things went smoothly, he might be able to handle this wave crisis steadily. The only problem was that the special hero unit was immune to suppression by the Luminous Purifying Salt, which meant it was ineffective against the 7-star monster. But that was not a fatal problem. The 7-star unit could be dealt with last. What Kim Han-ul needed to do next was cut apart the half-dead undead and digest them in batches. One of the most terrifying things about the undead was their numbers. To avoid having them all swarm in at once, he split the entrance into 4 separate lanes, forcing the undead to advance in divided streams. Lane 1 was greeted by the strongest magic attacker on his team. Come on, you evil creatures. Before my magic staff, all you deserve is to turn to ash. The troll berserker Odorf swung down his magic staff, and blazing flames directly swallowed an entire tide of undead. 50 warriors killed, 50 knights killed, 28 archers killed. Remaining monsters, 1,102. Lane 2, Kim Han-ul sent out the water mage Zen Karuk. Magic, Tear of the Ancient God. In the next second, water blades swept across, chopping the undead into pieces. Remaining monsters, 1,021. Lane 3, facing the densely packed undead. Kim Han-ul released the Goblin Gono and sent it alone into the enemy ranks. And under its high-speed movement, the undead along the entire path were wiped out. Remaining monsters, 937. Lane 4, he sent out an army of 20 lizard men instead. They raised their great shields, and pushed straight forward head-on against the undead charge. Remaining monsters, 881. So far, everything has gone according to plan. Now the only uncertain factor is, at that moment, the Skeleton King, who had been hiding in the rear the entire time, finally made a move. Terrifying magic power overflowed like a flood, and an enormous area spell directly covered the entire castle. Everyone was shaken by the fluctuation, and a flood of warnings instantly popped up before Kim Han-ul. The Skeleton King is casting Undead Resurrection. As expected, this is the most disgusting thing about the undead race. The blood orb in the Skeleton King's hand continuously seeped blood, and the moment the blood touched the corpses of the undead, those shattered bodies began to return to their original state. One after another, they stood back up, and no matter how many you killed, as long as a high-rank undead used resurrection, they could crawl back as if they had never died. Remaining monsters, 1,200. In the next second, the resurrected undead pressed forward once again. Kim Hanal immediately used an item, distributing monster energy bars to all his companions, even giving one to every member of the Lizardman Corps, using 23 of the 25 bars in an instant. Once the energy bars took effect, the entire team's condition was pulled straight back to its peak. And during this wave, he could continue exchanging for energy bars from the item merchant. This was a battle of attrition between mana and gold. I'd like to see whether you have more mana or I have more gold. Thus, the second round of this tower defense battle officially began. Partners, let them witness the power of pay to win.